Shalom and welcome to the Light to the Nations channel. In today's video, I want to continue with the study of the day. When does it begin and end? We already covered the first part of this study in a previous video, in the part 1. You can check it in the channel and take a look on this. It's important, if you haven't watched this video, the part 1, it's important you do it first before moving to the part that we are going to cover today. Okay. The idea is that we can cover as much as possible in this video. Anyways, I don't want to record a long video because I know that somehow it's very hard to get all the information when we have a long video. So I will try to make it no more than 30 minutes, hopefully. And if we are not able to cover all the information, I will post a third part. Okay. I also remind you that in case you have any question after this study, you can always send me an email to lightoeverynation@gmail.com. I will be more than willing to help you, to provide you my answers in the faster way possible. I have been telling you in all the previous videos that I believe that part of our responsibility is to share with others what we know, what we have learned, because that's the way we can support each other and move forward in this way. So again, I encourage you to send me any question you have. I will try to answer as soon as possible. So before moving forward, I would like to recap and do a summary on what we covered in the last video. So I will share my screen with you now, and we will take a look on short summary of what we covered last time. So here we are. So in the previous video, we discovered the following topics. The first one is that we have lost the true Moedim of Yahuwah. We saw some examples in Yeshayahu, Isaiah, and Yirmiyahu. This is Jeremiah. How Yahuwah is telling us that and giving us some inputs about we losing his true Moedim. We also saw that he is commanding us to keep his Moedim in a specific appointed times, year by year. So it's important that we understand his true calendar and when we need to observe and guard his true Moedim. Okay. We also saw in the writings of Shaul in 1 Thessalonians that his Moedim are directly connected with his day, the day of Yahuwah. Okay? And we as its sons of light, we must know his true Moedim, because by knowing them, we are not being darkness, and his day is not going to take us by surprise. So that's why it's so important that we research and search in all ways possible his calendar and his true Moedim. As part of the previous video, also we covered different systems to measure time according to the scripture, and that we saw that the system to measure the time basically is counting days, counting weeks, counting months, counting years, counting Shemitah, that are the release year every 7 years, counting Yovelims, that are between 49 and 50 years, and also sometimes counting nights, as we have in the account of the flood, 40 days and 40 nights, as we have in the account of Jonah and the whale and the big fish, is the 3 days and 3 nights. and we have in the account of the death and resurrection of Mashiach, 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb. So everything that the scripture is teaching us is that the way to measure the time is counting. Okay. We also saw different types of time measurement in the scriptures, as the day, the year, the week, the Chodesh, that is the month, the night, and basically those ones. And we covered, and actually this is very important to clarify, that according to the scriptures, the year and Hanoch revelation, the year has 364 days, and we know that we have 12 months in a year, or 12 Chodeshim in a year, and every Chodesh, every month, has 30 days. So we know also by Hanoch that we have these 4 intercalary days that we need to add at the end of the 3rd month, at the end of the 6th month, at the end of the 9th month, and at the end of the 12th month. So by including in the reckoning of the year these 4 intercalary days, we get to the 364 days that Hanoch is revealing us through his book. Okay. It's important to understand that, because there are so much confusion on that. We need to understand the 2 differences, and also keep in mind these 4 intercalary days. We also saw in the previous video that there is a direct connection between the week and the Shabbat day and the number 7. We know from the account of the creation in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1 and 2, that the Shabbat day was the final day of the week, and that week is related to 7 days, and that's what we understood by week. And we saw in Hebrew as well how is the connection between week, that the word is Shavua, and Shabbat, and also number 7, that is Sheva. So all of these 3 words are connected to the same root word that is starting with the letter Shin and the letter Bet. Okay. And finally, we also saw that the core time measurement, according to the scripture and according to the account in Bereshit, when Yahuwah created the luminaries in the Shamayim, the basic time measurement is the day and the year. So that's why it's so important as the second block or the second step in order to understand the full Yahuwah's calendar, is that we should know what is a day according to the scripture. Somehow we covered in other videos what is a year, and I already mentioned it, the 364 days, or equal to 12 months of 30 days in a year plus the 4 intercalary days. But we need to understand very clearly what is the day according to the scripture, because this will be the key to unlock many things in the calendar, and also to understand prophecies, and also to understand how to keep in a proper way his moedims. Okay, so this is what we are gonna cover today. So we will review what is a day according to the scriptures. When does it begin and end? Okay. Before moving to the next slide, we know that currently the Jewish people, and also many of the Messianic believers, or believers in the Torah and the Mashiach, the majority of them believes that the day is started in Erev, in evening, and is ending in the next evening. So basically, if we are in a Tuesday according to the Gregorian calendar, and we are getting to the afternoon, the evening, in that moment when the sun is going down and it's already set, in that moment the day is starting, and it's going to last until the next afternoon until the next evening. That's the whole understanding of the majority of the Torah believers, Messianic believers, and Mashiach believers, is the way that they understand the day. But how the scripture is supporting that understanding, that is what we are going to find out, and we are going to discover what is a day according to the scripture. So let's move on. So what is the definition of a day according to Torah? And this is very simple. Maybe some of you already saw this presentation or this slide in the virtual house church 2 weeks ago, but it's important to give more details, and we are going to cover today. So where to look in the Torah in order to understand what is the definition of a day? And the answer is in Bereshit, in Genesis, in the creation week. So we will review the verse 1 and 5 in the chapter 1 of Bereshit. So it says the following: In the beginning Elohim created the Shamayim, this is the heaven, and the earth, Eretz. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. This is quite important because the first thing that we see in this account that is darkness. Everything started with darkness. Okay? Let's continue. And it says, And the Ruach of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. And Elohim said, Let light come to be, and light came to be. And Elohim saw the light that it was good. Pay attention on this. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. Okay? And Elohim called the light day or Yom, and the darkness he called night or Laila in Hebrew. And there came to be evening or Erev in Hebrew, and there came to be Boker or morning, one day. So there are many confusion in many people regarding specifically regarding the last phrase. There came to be evening and there came to be morning, and that's the whole discussion about what is really a day. But if we understand literally what is written here in these verses, we don't have a space for doubts. Yahuwah is quite clear in this account, in the revelation of Bereshit, what is a day and what is night. And we saw very clearly that everything started in dark, and after that he created light. But we see over here, in this part of the verse, that Elohim separated the light from the darkness. So he separated the both things. Okay? And it's clear in the verse 5 that to the light portion of the creation, he called it day. And the darkness, he called it night. So we cannot get confused with that because it's quite clear. Light is day, dark is night. So, I prepared this visual representation of this. So let's take a look on it. So as we saw in the passage here, in the verse here, everything was dark until Elohim created the light. Okay? And we know when we have two things that are together and we try to separate them, we produce this effect of stretching somehow. Okay? If I want to separate, I don't know, or to break somehow some cloth, trying to make this effect of separation, we will see that we are getting this effect of stretching. And when we are doing this, we see that the cloth is getting thinner and thinner until we break everything. Okay, so we have this kind of a mixture when we are getting this effect of stretching. It's a kind of blending, and it's what it really happens when we are separating the light from darkness. And actually, you can do it in your home, and small experiment. Just you can lit a lantern and put it in a dark room, and start moving the lantern to another place. So every time that you are moving it to another place, you will see that the light is getting fading, and you are getting less light and less light all the time, but you are continuing seeing this kind of blending and mixture between the darkness and the light. So it's important to understand that, because when Elohim separated the light from the darkness, this mixture, this blending appeared. And this is the visual representation. So he separated the light from the darkness, and here we have the blending and the mixture. Okay? So we have the period of darkness, light, and darkness, and the mixture separating both of them. And he called the portion of light day, and he called the portion of darkness night, as it is written over here. Separated the light from the darkness, Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called it night. Okay? And then it came to be Erev. Erev is evening, and we know, and we can prove this from the scripture as well. It's not included in this presentation, but if it's needed, I can give you some examples. Just send me an email. But we know that Erev evening is coming after the portion of the light, this part of the blending. So here is said that in the last phrase, it came to be evening, and there came to be Boker, one day. And what's the understanding here? Erev and Boker are the limits for between the darkness and light, or light and darkness. And in this case, when Boker is starting, this is the limit for the next day to start. Okay? So basically we know that this portion is the day, this portion is the night. We cannot call it the full cycle a day, because we are going against the description we have in Torah. So when Elohim is saying that there can to be Erev, evening, and there can to be morning, one day, is because here in this morning, the second day is starting. So it's just to let us know that the second day is starting, or the third day, according to the next passages in that chapter. So it's no way for us to get confused. Erev and Boker are just limits, or the borders. Okay, when the darkness is starting in case of evening, or when the next day is starting in case of Boker, after the night period. Okay, and one important point, and this is also I mentioned during the Virtual House Church with Rob Skiba and John Hall. Elohim said here that he separated the light from the darkness. And I put this example with a totally different aspect, and these are the words of Mashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach, when he was answering the Pharisees about the divorce. And he said here, and it's written in Mark 10:9, and he said the following: "Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let man not separate." And this is quite critical, because we know that Yahuwah doesn't change his mind. What he says that he will do, he do it. He does it. And he's not going to change his mind, okay? He's not like us, that we are changing our minds all of the time. So, if in this example he's saying that he joins something together, so men cannot separate it, the same is applicable in the other way around. If he separated something, we men cannot join together. So what we are doing nowadays, that we are saying that the day has 24 hours, that the day is the joining or adding up the light time and the darkness time. So it's basically day and night is one day. When Elohim is saying that he separated the light from the darkness, and the light he called it day, and the darkness he called it night. We are trying to join what Elohim separated already. And he's quite clear that if he does something, we men, we are nothing to do something against what he already did. So, again, if Elohim separated the light from darkness, who we are to join them now. So it's very important to get this point. It's very important to understand that the day is the light portion, night is a totally different cycle. And just one comment that a friend told me, and I think this is very important. You know, Elohim separated the light from the darkness and the day, as we saw. The light is the day and the darkness is the night, and they are totally separated. But somehow we know that in Elohim everything is united. We are one with Him. So light and dark are working together in unity with Elohim in order to give us the understanding on how to properly calculate his moedim and his calendar. Okay? In Elohim everything is united. You and me are one in Elohim. We and Mashiach are one in Elohim, and his creation is one in him. So the same is applicable with light and darkness. But it's important to understand the difference, because no matter that in Elohim everything is united, he was clear in order to teach us. He was clear that the light is the day and the darkness is the night. Okay, let's continue. So what else we have in the Torah? And we have the Tot, the signs. And this is also a second witness in the same creation account that is very important to understand it. Okay, so we have in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1, verse 14 to 18. And it says the following: And Elohim said, Let lights come to be in the expanse of the Shamayim, the heavens, to separate the day from the night. Again, he's creating the luminaries in the Shamayim for the same purpose, to separate the day from the night. Okay? And let them be for Otot, signs, and Moedim, appointed times, and for Yomim, days, and for Shanaim, years. So we know by this verse what's the purpose of the luminaries in the Shamayim. They are for signs, for Dot, for appointed times, for Moedim, for days, and for years. Okay? Let's continue. It says, And let them be for lights in the expanse of the Shamayim, to give light on the earth. And it came to be so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day. So he created a specific luminary to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night and the stars. So he created two separate sets of luminaries, one to rule the day and another one to rule the night. So by doing that, he's making again the point that he separated the light from the darkness, and he wants us to make it clear in order, by seeing the luminaries in the Shamayim, in the heavens, in the sky, to understand what is a day and what is night. Okay? And it says in the 17, And Elohim set them in the expanse of the Shamayim, to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day. Again, he's telling us to rule over the day and over the Laila, night, and to separate the light from the darkness. So again, we see here in this part that if we compare with the first line, he's saying that he's creating the luminaries to separate the day from the night, and now he's saying that he's setting them up in the Shamayim to separate the light from the darkness. So we have a direct relationship here again between the day and the light, and the night and darkness. So how do we know which one is the greater light and which one is the lesser light? Yeah, you can tell me, Juan Carlos, this is very basic. We know that the sun is during the day and the moon and the stars are during the night. But again, as I said in the first part of the previous video, we need to let the scriptures to interpret themselves. We cannot put our own opinions, no matter that maybe it's very basic. We need to search for the answers directly on the scriptures, and where we have the answers to understand which one is the greater light and which one is the lesser light. This is in Tehillim, Psalms 136, verse 7 to 9, and it says the following: To him who made great lights, for his loving commitment is everlasting. The sun to rule by day or yom. So here we have our answer. In Bereshit it says the greater light to rule by day, and in Tehillim we know it says the sun to rule by day. So the sun is the greater light. And the verse 9 says the moon and star to rule by Laila or night, for his loving commitment is everlasting. So we know the lesser light to rule by night is the moon and stars. So the scriptures itself is revealing us how to identify the signs, the otot in the Shamayim, to understand when the day is starting and when the day is ending, and what is the day and what is the night. And the virtual, the visual representation for that, we have it over here. So we know, and we already saw it in the last slide, that we have Boker, morning, Yom is the day, Erev is the evening, and Laila is the night. So he's telling us that he created the sun to rule by day. So we see that the sun is the thought for us to understand what is the day according to the scriptures. And he created the moon and the stars to rule by night. So I think we don't have any space or any window for doubts. It's quite clear with these two passages from the Torah that day is this portion, the light portion, and night is a totally different thing. Okay? So let's continue. Okay, that's the witness in the Torah. But we have another witness, and it's in the words of Yahushua HaMashiach. And it's related to the 12 hours in a day. So we will review what is the day according to the words of Yahushua HaMashiach. So if we understand his teaching, and we will check in details here, it's registered in the book of Yehohanan. This is John, chapter 11, verse 9 and 10. And it says the following. Yahushua answered, and he was talking to his Talmidim, his disciples. And he answered the following, are there not 12 hours in the Yom, in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the Laila night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. So, before getting into the details of the 12 hours, we clearly see here in the words of Mashiach that he is relating walking in the day with having light on this world. For sure, every passage and every teaching on the scriptures has 2 or 3 levels of understanding, one in the physical world and at least one other in the spiritual world. So everything that is in the scriptures is for our edification and is useful for us in the physical world and also in the spiritual world. And this is not the exception. There is a spiritual understanding of this, but also a physical one, and we can see it. He's referring to walking in the day and related to the light of the world, because we see the light of the world and the light that we are getting from the sun. And also he's related to walking in the night with not having light, and this is darkness. We know that the light that we are having from the moon and the stars is not the same that we are having from the sun. So he's telling us, even with those statements, what is the day and what is the night. But if we take a look in his statement about the day having 12 hours, we can clearly understand even better what is a day in his witness. So the point is how we can understand this, why he is telling us that the day have 12 hours when we now know that according to the science and according what we receive in teachings in our schools and with our families, that the day is having 24 hours. So why Mashiach is saying that the day has 12 hours? How we can understand this? And the good things that, again, we need to checking the scriptures in order to find the answers, and it's the same Mashiach, Yahushua, that he is explaining to us what is this answer. And where we can find this is in a parable, and this is in Matthew chapter 20, verse 1 to 16. For a matter of space, I didn't include the passage here, but I'm going to read it for you. Okay? So it's in Matthew chapter 20, verse 1 to 16. And the whole parable is related to the hiding servants. Okay? And it says the following: For the reign of the heavens, the Malchut Hashemayim, is like a man, a householder, who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. So please keep full attention on each one of the events that is happening and when those events are happening. Okay, we will see a visual representation of this. It's gonna make everything much easier to understand. But first, let's read the scripture. So it says that a householder who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the workers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said to them, You too go into the vineyard, and whatever is right I shall give you. And they went. And having gone out again about the 6th and 9th hour, he did likewise. And about the 11th hour, having gone out, he found others standing idle, and said to them, Why do you stand here idle all day? They said to him, Because no one hired us. He said to them, You too go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you shall receive. And when evening came, the master of the vineyard said to his manager, Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last to the first. And when those came who were hired about the 11th hour, they each received a denarius. And when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but they too received each a silver piece. And when they received it, they grumbled against the householder, saying, These last have worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us who have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answering said to one of them, Friend, I do you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take yours and go, but I wish to give to this last man as also to you. It is not right for me to do what I wish with my own? Or is your eye evil because I am good? Thus the last shall be the first, and the first last. For many are called, but few chosen. So again, we know, and I already mentioned this, we know that all teachings of Mashiach, all teachings throughout the entire scriptures, has different level of understanding. One in the physical world, one in the spiritual level. Okay? And the same is happening here. Mashiach is giving us the answer about how to understand the 12 hours with this parable. And also there is a spiritual understanding regarding the last days and regarding the Malchut Hashemayim, the reign of heavens. So let's focus now just in the physical understanding, just to find out what is the testimony, the witness of Mashiach about what is a day. Okay? So we will review the entire events on this parable. So we have this understanding of a day, starting on Boker, the light portion, and ending on Erev. This is a day. So we will review all the events that we have in this parable. So we see the first part. We saw that the householder goes to hire workers for his vineyard, and he did that in the morning. The passage says, a householder who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard, and when he had agreed with them workers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. So He went in the walker, he saw some people in the marketplace, he agreed with them on the salary, and after that he sent them to work. Okay? So the first hour passed, the second hour passed, and the third hour came. And it says in the scripture that he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. So he went about the third hour, he saw others in the marketplace, and also he sent them to work. It says in the verse 4, and said to them, "You too go into the vineyard, and whatever is right I shall give you." And they went. So the 4th hour, the 5th hour, the 6th hour passed, and it says in the verse 5, having gone out again about the 6th and the 9th hour, he did likewise. So he went in the 6th hour, he saw more people in the marketplace and sent them to work. And then past the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th hour, and he saw more people in the marketplace and sent them to work as well. Okay, in the same way that he was doing it with the ones that he saw in the 3rd hour. Okay, and it says in the verse 6, and about the 11th hour, having gone out, he found others standing idle. And in the verse 7, he said, "You too go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you shall receive." So the hour 10 and the hour 11 came, and he saw others standing idle and sent them to work. Okay, and we read in the verse 8, and when evening came, the master of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the workers and pay them their wages." So we see that the evening came and the master asked his manager to call the workers and pay them. But let's see the reaction, just to understand when the 12 hours end. The reaction of the people that was hired in the morning. It says in the verse 9, and when those came who were hired about the 11th hour, they each received a denarius. Okay, the last one was the first one to receive the salary. And verse 10, it says, and when the first came, they thought they would receive more. Yeah, for sure. They were working the entire day. So when they saw that the last one, they received the same salary that they agreed with the householder, they thought that they will receive more money. So, but it says in the passage 10, but they too received each a silver piece. And when they receive it, they grumble against the householder. And pay attention here in his saying, in the verse 12, saying, "These last have worked 1 hour." So here's the secret. So they were hired about the 11th hour, and when evening came, the manager called everybody to give them the salary. And now they are grumbling because they said that this last one worked only 1 hour. They were hired in the 11th hour, worked only 1 hour, that's meaning the 12th hour. Evening came, everybody came to the manager in order to receive the salary, and those ones that were hired here and worked in the 11th hour and worked just 1 hour received the same amount of money of all the people. So again, it's quite easy with this understanding of the parable to understand what is 12 hours, what is a day, because the day is starting, and you can see the visual representation here when the sun is rising until the sun is setting. And this is in complete harmony with the scriptures, because Elohim said that he created the sun, the greater light, to rule the day. So the sun is the sign for us to understand when the day is beginning, when the sun is rising, and when the sun is setting is because the day has ended. Okay? So therefore the day is from morning to evening. What else? We can see this in this parable, and this is quite important. It's a key to understand the Shabbat day, and we will cover it later in the next part of this video. If we see when this worker were doing this work in the vineyard was from morning to evening. Okay, so they were working during the day. So when work is to be done, we will cover it in the next part of the video. And I thank you, all of you, for watching this. I hope that the studies is getting clear. And again, if you have any question, just send me an email. We will cover it as soon as possible. So, Todah and Shalom to all of you.